ego was completely crushed, like, right? Like, okay, I will suffer. That is the worst time that your Ketu Mahadasha can start. And
Hi, Alexandra. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and sharing your experiences about your Ketu Mahadasha.
hi, Kiran. Thank you so much for having me.
So, what were the transformational changes that you experienced during your Ketu Mahadasha?
Okay, well, I would say the most frequently mentioned changes that many people talked about, such as job change, material status changes. Some of the astrologers that I got in contact with said that if your Venus is strong, your Ketu Dasha will hit you more. And my Venus is in Taurus in the 10th house, so it's quite strong, I would say. And yes, Ketu Mahadasha hit me like a ton of bricks. So relocating, involuntarily relocating from another country to my home country, definitely losing a decade-old friendships, feeling like an alien, just losing interest in daily mundane things, even not being able to hold small talk conversations, which I was very good at. I was in HR arena. I was an HR expert. I was doing training, always being surrounded by people, and then all of a sudden just avoiding social contact situations. And Ketu sort of kicked in with a bang when I had to come back home to my home country. Family conflicts as well, loss of job, loss of status, etc.
So, I think it's fair to say that just like the nature of Ketu, you were isolated, you felt detached, you lost your relationship with your old friends. Did you lose any loved one also during this duration?
I have not, and my Mercury Dasha is starting, so I'm a little bit hesitant because my one of my family members is health condition is not good, and my Mercury period will start in March. So I am doing my Mrityunjaya mantra, as much as I can, just to prevent anything bad from happening. But luckily, no, thank God.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your relative Alexandra, and I wish speedy recovery to him or her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you also mentioned that there were some changes in your job also. So would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, all of a sudden I was working for a multinational corporation abroad in the Middle East. I was a recruiter traveling the world, recruiting people, and maybe there's a little bit of a karmic part of my job. I was involved in selection, right? Selecting people for jobs. That carries a lot of karma as well. And yeah, everything went well. And then all of a sudden, there was a crisis, and I was made redundant. I had to look for another job because my employment status was tied sorry, my visa status in that particular country was tied to my employment status. So before that, it was just easy. Like I never had financial problems. I was able to help out my family with money always, had a great life. I mean, and I was very much into, because my Venus is strong in the 10th house. I was very much into like dressing up, wearing colors, not because of the others, but because I felt good in that. Like I was really in that, like in that feminine stage. And as soon as Ketu started, that was one of the first changes that, in retrospect, that I can talk about. Like, I think I aged rapidly. I had problems with my teeth. And then I stopped wearing colors. Um, and loss of interest in gathering wherever there were a lot of people. I just didn't hold any interest for me. I lost that job, and I had to accept many opportunities that I didn't like. They were not for me, just because I wanted to stay in that country so badly. Actually, I didn't want to go back home so badly. And then Saturn kind of brought me to my knees. I felt, sorry, not Saturn, Ketu, excuse me. So I felt Ketu, the influence of Ketu the worst during my Dasha Sandhi period, which was Mercury Saturn. That's when my ego was completely crushed, like, into little pieces. So I had to accept like those kind of mundane roles and, be humiliated in that way, like from being someone who was actually selecting people, picking people for different jobs, and I was unemployed or doing like, I remember at one point I had to get some money, so I was selling some goods in the some kind of a fair or something like. It was a little bit of a demeaning. How can I say? It's not
I
demeaning,
got
but
it. Yeah.
in that age, not of really, yeah.
So something that you would have never thought before Ketu Mahadasha that you would do, you actually had to do when you were going through this period, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So were you able to find a job as per your choice later?
So when I came back home, that was when Ketu started, and that's when actually another commonality that other people talked about is the suicidal thoughts. So during Ketu, I did experience suicidal thoughts, and I was extremely isolated. And I couldn't find a job. Like I couldn't find a job for a really, really long time. And then, because Venus rules it's a strong career indicator for me as well. And then during the Venus Dasha, I accepted another opportunity abroad just to escape the home environment again. And that job it was paid, but it was paid okay. I was in education, involved in children's education, which is something that I can do like blindfoldedly. It's really easy for me to teach, and I think that I just form like instinctive relationship with kids. It's like easy, it's effortless. So I did earn some, amount of money again, but not doing what I wanted to do and being completely lost. But during Jupiter Dasha, Antardasha, sorry, I did not experience any relief. It was just really, it was, what the benefit that I got was gaining more knowledge and leaning into Vedic astrology more, because ever since I was 11, I was into Western astrology. I was drawn towards astrology, but I was using a tropical system and tropical interpretations. And then I guess during Jupiter Antardasha, I really had to answer the questions that I kept having on my mind, and I had to go deeper, right? Deeper and deeper. That's what happened during the Jupiter Antardasha, but there was a lot of suffering, like suffering in silence. What helped me was nature, being in nature. With the moon in the 12th house, I really like, ever since I was a child, I needed time alone in nature.
I think
Like just
your
just
Jupiter's Antardasha also makes sense. You getting more interested towards the sidereal side of astrology because Jupiter is also the lord of your eighth house. So that would have caused your inclination to increase towards astrology, occult, spirituality, and all that, and then placed in the 12th house in its exaltation sign in Cancer. So great. And then currently, are you back to your home country or still in a different country?
Yes, I'm back in my home country, and I have some dreams, and I don't know why I have these inklings. My intuition is super strong, but I'm praying to God that that on my path I can still go back to go abroad, and because it's still strong in me that I don't want to stay here. How can I say? I'm still here, yes, in my home country. So all of these jobs that I did, when I started working remotely, I noticed that things changed. And I was in education as well, sharing knowledge, helping people with their resumes, helping people with their job interviews in English, helping children as well, helping teenagers, helping young people secure a job abroad. That's when I noticed I started to, get monetary gains, right? So I was like, okay, I'm on the right path now. So Ketu gives you just sufficient amount to keep you going, right? But now I slowly started to, save again, and maybe slowly starting to wear colors again. I'm not sure. So
But yeah,
let's see.
there's probably 2 more years for you to go. Less
I
than
think
2 years.
one year,
Yeah.
1 year.
So
Mm.
probably, I hope that after that you're able to go to another country of your choice and get a job
Thank
that
you.
satisfies you, and you are able to make a lot of more money than you're doing right now.
Thank you.
So during the last 6 years of Ketu Mahadasha experience, Alexandra, as we see that you went through a lot of up and down, a lot of humiliation, detachment, giving up on a lot of things. So how did you manage to deal with all this? Were there some remedies that you were doing?
Mm-hmm. Like one of them is spending time walking in nature. I also did that when I was a child. So solitude. Of course, my moon is in the 12th house, so maybe this is something that is very natural to me. Maybe other people don't have the 12th house moon, but my 12th house moon demands contact with nature. So I had to spend time in solitude. I started to really, really like and appreciate solitude. The next thing that helped me was waking up early in the morning and having routines. Dreams, paying attention to your dreams. What else? And trying to seek meaning. For me, I was okay with suffering. I'm still okay with suffering as long as there is a meaning to suffering, right? Like, okay, I will suffer. And then that's when my studying of Vedas and like about different kinds of karma, about prarabdha karma, about sanchita karma. So then when you see that the worst stages of desperation and suicidal thoughts were when I couldn't find meaning behind suffering, right? So sometimes it's you can't explain it, your suffering, and sometimes you need Kal, you need Saturn, you need time to turn back and say, okay, that's why things happen. This is why. But for me, it was really maybe because of my Jupiter, I had to find meaning, and then everything was okay. I can do this. So
So I
find
think
meaning.
introspection and retrospection has a huge role to play when you realize that what is happening, why is it happening. And I'm so glad that you were able to find meaning out of this whole experience in Ketu Mahadasha and dealing with it with so much confidence and positivity. Wish you all the best for the remaining period of Ketu for you. And I hope, because your Venus is very strong, well placed, I'm sure Venus is going to bring very good days for you ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for your channel. It's helping so many people out like me. Thank you so much, Kiran
I'm
Ji.
glad to hear that, Alexandra. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time, and thank you for coming and sharing your experience with us.